to go? Can I get seated? All right, I'd like to call the Village of Cottage Grove Plan Commission to order. It is Wednesday, November 9th at 6:30 p.m. We are holding this meeting both in the Village Hall as well as over Zoom. It's a hybrid meeting. The Zoom link is at the top of the agenda. Or if those who choose to call in for the audio, there is a call-in audio number as well as a meeting ID at the top agenda, at the agenda, sorry. We have a quorum. The agenda was properly posted, and we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Item 4 is public appearances, public's opportunity to speak. If you are from the public, we just ask that you share your name, your address, your municipality, and hold your comments to no more than 3 minutes, just in case we have a number of folks who like to speak. With that, I'll pause. Anybody on the Zoom or in the room? All right, moving on then. Discuss and consider our meeting minutes from our Planning Commission meeting held on October 12th. Any questions, comments, edits, or consideration for motion?
I'll make a motion to approve as presented.
Thank you, Troy. Is there a second? Thank you, Kim. Yep, go ahead. Any further discussion?
Sorry, just number 10 looks like there's a stray number at the vote for item number 10, so if that could just be fixed. That's all.
All right. Troy and Kim, you good with the editorial? Yeah. Okay.
Aye.
Any other discussion items? Having heard none, all those in favor then? Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Anybody abstain? Motion carries. Next up, we have discuss and consider a site plan review for application for Supreme Structures for an approximately 15,000 square foot office building located at 201 Commerce Parkway. Dan and Dylan, you guys want to come right over here so the folks on Zoom can hear you. You have to pull the little switch on the top there towards you. Yep, right. Yep.
We'll let the engineer do that. Dan Bertler, Supreme Structures. This is Dylan Douglas with JT Engineering. He's handling all our site design, landscaping, photometrics for us tonight. Thank you for entertaining us to be here tonight. It's been a long time since I worked in the Village of Cottage Grove, and very excited to be back. I've always enjoyed everyone in Cottage Grove. We're here. We have an opportunity to construct a 15,000 square foot building. And our current use, it might not say that on here, but we're looking at bringing Johnson Health into this building. They currently have an off-site studio for their video conferencing of all their current equipment as well as future equipment, and they would like to relocate that site to Cottage Grove and onto their campus, as well as additional. I didn't realize this until I got a tour, but if somebody comes in like Planet Fitness, they want to wow them, and this is the building for the wow. All their specialized equipment, everything laid out with the wow factor. So this building is really designed as 2 phases. The first phase is 15,000 square feet. We're actually hoping, because there's so many efficiencies, that we'll just go ahead and do the addition, which is a 5,000 square foot addition. I'm not looking for approval on that this evening, but there is a phase 1, phase 2. Obviously, if we get approved tonight, we'll come back for that approval for the addition. That addition is 1 large gym with a mezzanine for their current employees. Anything site-related, Dylan's with me tonight. The exterior of the building is a combination of precast, corrugated, concealed fastener, a lot of glass, and the glass is tinted with a gray tint with it, so it's not just clear glass. And then we got some darker grays in some battens. So very simple building. It kind of fits a little bit with our current architectural that they currently have, but fast forward, we're thinking, we believe this building fits the campus site really well, and it cross between all the materials, and it's a good-looking building. I was gonna say, if everything goes right, we'd most likely look at breaking ground this spring. We'd wanna go. As long as you guys control the interest rates.
I'll have to leave that up to the Fed. Aaron, staff?
Yeah, so you may recall a couple years ago, we had an approved project on this site for Avid Biodome. That's not moving forward. Dan was gonna build that project. Now he's kind of stepping in to build this one instead. Certainly agree it's a good use for the site, and Johnson Health Tech's been kind of thinking about doing something like this for a while, and it also kind of solves their parking problems that they're kind of overflowing from their facility right now. As far as the planning staff report, we'd recommend approval with a few conditions. The first one, and Josh will kind of get into this a little bit, but we'll want to see the final utility and erosion control and, all the engineering documents for the engineer to sign off on. There's a bioinfiltration pond shown on the site. We'll just want to make sure that the soils at that location are suitable. Related to the Commerce Park covenants, any rooftop units would have to be screened. I don't know if you're that far along that you've been thinking about where those
They
might
would be screened,
Yeah.
but yes.
Then per ordinance, there's a maximum 24-foot driveway width at the property line.
Saw that in the notes.
So we'll want to make sure we can meet that. And then we did get a couple of comments from the fire chief. The first one, just checking turn radiuses, and that was a comment our engineers had anyway, to make sure their equipment can get around the site. There's a hydrant that used to be across the street that got taken out, so we're probably going to have to work with the fire department and maybe you guys on where to kind of put a new one back in that area. And then we'll just want you to touch base with the fire department on where the, assuming it's going to be sprinklered, that
Yep.
where the fire connection is going to be. And things
Correct.
like that. So, then I think Josh had some comments as well.
Yeah, thanks, Aaron. Everybody can hear me okay?
Yep.
Similar comments that we would have for site plans, nothing that really jumped out at us. There's obviously some detail that's needed as they move forward as far as utility hookups, and then both kind of site plan side as far as grading, making sure that we're not, draining any of the site water off onto some of the adjacent sites there. They had kind of a concept grading plan, so just kind of truthing that out. Also just stormwater and how they're going to handle stormwater piping wise in the parking lots or creating some low points and stuff. And just seeing some of that piping and how that's going to take place and go into the infiltration basin. So they are showing a basin that we're assuming is going to be the infiltration basin. As far as stormwater is concerned, as everybody knows, this is part of the Commerce Park. So, stormwater as far as the quantity control and also the quality control for it is all done in those big regional basins. They just have to get it to that storm sewer system that's adjacent to them on both side streets. So they just really need to take care of infiltration on their site and oil and grease control, which can be done, and they are showing space to do that. So it's just more detail as they move forward and finalize plans, a stormwater report that would be needed, and then, sheets as erosion control, restoration, things like that. On the electrical side, we've been commenting a lot on site plans for electrical lately. I think it's pretty common that you see parking lots that are around 5,000 Kelvin light, but we're trying to do the dark sky thing in a lot of places in the village, and we're just requesting that they try to reach the 3,000 Kelvin LED lights, which is a little warmer, a little bit less bright, and a little bit less, less lighting overall on the site. So we've had that as a consideration. Just have to work through that as part of Other than that, I think the big things, Aaron, you mentioned about the fire. We talked about just some of the truck movements and then the hydrant that we kind of work through as part of the overall concept at the end. Otherwise, like Aaron, approval of what's showing now with some of these comments working forward seems appropriate.
Thanks, Aaron. Thanks, Josh. Questions from commission members? Go ahead, Alex.
He's
you
looking
got-
at me. So Aaron, I'm gonna focus in on the fire hydrant for a second. You don't note that in your report, correct? You mentioned it verbally and also Strang mentioned it,
Yeah.
mentioned it verbally, right?
Can
So
you add
what
that
what
as
is
a-
your intent on that? I mean, obviously, so what I'm just Googling through the maps and I didn't realize there was a fire, it looks like, if I'm correct, it was a fire hydrant on the Culver side of the road and that was pulled out for that driveway. So are we making it, what's your plan on that?
Yeah. Josh, I don't know if you have more background on the one that came out. Is that something we're talking about putting back in, or is this something we would?
Yes, we are currently getting pricing on putting that one back in a slightly different location.
So I guess, just to be clear, the village is covering that because the village removed the other one. The
Yeah.
village is covering that cost, that burden's not on the developer, okay.
Nope.
But as the roads are opened up, it makes sense to coordinate efforts, that's why you bring it up.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
now with the building being at this
Yep.
location, we kind of need one a little more there.
That all makes sense, all right, thank you.
And Alex, I would say specifically the water utility, not the village.
Fair enough, yep.
Okay. Heidi?
Thank you. I had a question about staff crossing back and forth between the two locations. Is the idea that then they would go to the four-way stop and cross at the crosswalk? I could just see, if you're parking back on that eastern side, cutting across it. Just want to see if we need to investigate, like, how we can make sure everyone gets across safely.
They do already, going back and forth.
They do, yeah.
Do they not follow the crosswalks and the sidewalks?
At least I can find them a crossing guard.
Yeah.
Maybe. Or they could become crossing guards.
I think that's more of an education thing, make sure that the staff are aware that they want to encourage them to safely cross at those crosswalks. It's right on the corner, so it shouldn't be too hard for them to do that, but it's a good point.
Yeah, there's sidewalk all the way around, so it's easy enough to access to the crosswalk.
On a few extra steps.
Oh, yeah, I mean, health conscious, yes.
I also should comment that the one parking lot to the south is, we're not quite sure if we're going to install that right off the bat. So that might just sit in the interim, but I did have Dylan kind of look at the overall scheme with the addition when it was 100% complete.
Can I leverage off Heidi's there? So,
Is the driveway, Dylan, is the driveway lined up on Commerce with their driveway on the other side, or are they a little offset? I'm just curious. Is it pretty lined up with the other side? I don't recall how that fits in.
To be honest, I don't remember how it lines up across. It's in the same location that we had from the last submittal that we put in for this site, so I kind of just kept it in that spot, just more or less at the end of that median.
Yeah, I think that's where the other driveway is. You were talking, I think Heidi brings up a good point, a lot of people are gonna walk across those two driveway openings, so.
Public-
as they cross.
Public Works is also gonna have to look at that, so looking at the Google Earth, if it's right, the driveways do line up, but we allow parking just after that median ends. And so that no parking should probably be pushed back. And I wouldn't abut it right up against on plan south of that driveway entrance. I would put it probably another 20 feet just to allow sight lines, so if people are gonna come out and make a left-hand turn, so. I think that's Public Works, probably your streets would
Yep.
have to look at that.
Yeah. And JJ's listing, so, and Heidi's on Public Works. Overall comment, I think the facility, the building, as it stands right now, is gonna be a great addition to that corner. We're me personally, I'm excited that Johnson Health Tech is adding space and growing and wants to bring their studio and show off their great equipment in that site. So that's wonderful to see.
I think it'll be a welcome addition as well.
I'll take a motion to approve the site plan as presented for Supreme Structures for an approximately 15,000 square foot building located at 201 Commerce Parkway with conditions as stated.
All right, thank you, Troy.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Don. Any further discussion? Having heard none, all those in favor then? Aye. Anybody opposed? Anybody abstain? Motion carries.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. All right, next up, we have a presentation from Silver Property Group on a concept plan for a 70-acre light industrial development on parcels 0811-332-8501-1 and parcel 0811-332-8072-1 and parcel 0811-332-8182-1. This is for feedback only. There's no more formal action from the commission. So.
Would it be acceptable if I grab the mic and,
Yeah, if you prefer, yeah. It's just for the Zoom folks.
okay, good, well, I've got a face for radio, so we won't take a look at me. That's restricted. But I have to see the screen, because I'm usually as surprised as you are when it comes up.
Oh, okay, that's awesome.
I'll just switch it on, and then actually, further away, the better. It's a little sensitive, it's close, so
Great, how's this sounding? Wonderful?
that should be good.
Okay, perfect. Introduce, my name is Chad Novice, and I currently serve as the Vice President for Zilber Limited. Our address is 710 North Plankington Avenue in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. You'll have to Google the zip code. I came up with that. I guess our purpose today, of course, is to not only introduce myself, but our firm as well, and give you a little bit of organizational background. And then, most importantly, of course, is the contemplated project that we have here in your community, and then solicit any feedback, you know, at the highest or lowest level that you want to look at it for us. Before I do that, though, this is our first time developing a project potentially in your community. And as we looked around, I just want to commend you on all your recent success and congratulate you on it. This community is certainly growing significantly, and as we drive around and look at the quality of development and work, it's impressive. So it helped attract us to this area. And then also just a small note on just commending your staff as well, working with them. Their level of professionalism and responsiveness is certainly refreshing in our industry. So we just want to let you know and give you that feedback as well, that they're doing that job for you. So a little bit about Zilber Limited, if you're not familiar with it. We're about almost an 80-year-old company that's headquartered again in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And we are a real estate investment and development firm. We've got a number of brands that we do our work under, and you can kind of see that on the slide on the right-hand side, all the way from our commercial property group, which is this entity working on this project, or Zilber Property Group, all the way through some of our single-family and multifamily groups that do those types of projects. What is a little interesting about the Zilber Limited organization, as you can see on this chart, is the majority of our common stock is owned by the Zilber Family Foundation. And what that means for us is we are responsible for being stewards of our assets, hopefully growing our asset base, and when we do that, we dividend up all the proceeds to our family foundation, which is charged then with working in communities, not only that we develop in, but then also in the broader southeastern Wisconsin area to better the lives of the people that live there and enhance the communities as well. Where we do our work geographically, it's kind of illustrated here on our next slide. You can see all the highlighted states. We've got a concentration of activity down the Sun Belt states. from Florida stretching all the way to California, and then also in a couple of the Hawaiian Islands. That's primarily our residential development group, single-family home development, and then also multifamily development projects as well. Up in the upper Midwest, where our hands are a little colder, and I guess it's arguable that our hearts are a bit warmer, we concentrate in the majority of our work either in some single-family home development, multifamily, but primarily our commercial properties. So that's a limited amount of office development and then primarily industrial building development projects. You know, we're a regional size firm. This is a bit outdated. We've got about 8 million square feet that we currently own, and that's about 4 dozen buildings or so. And then, you know, every year we do about 1 to 2 million square feet of new development projects. So this type of project that we're talking about here in Cottage Grove, you know, fits with that. It allows us to have intense, you know, focus from our staff to be able to, you know, execute it because it seems right size for us. No, here's a good one. This is just a look at our core team that will be working on this project, from disciplines all the way from administration to construction to development, and then of course our executive team. So the top row, if you're familiar with those guys, those are the ones that really don't do anything other than probably take credit or assess blame to all the folks on the bottom row, which are really doing all the work for you here. So I guess that's in there just to clarify that for everyone. Let's move past that slide if we could.
You're on the top.
I guess this is confession. You know the site just as well as we do in your municipality. It's about a 70-acre site. What's interesting about this particular site, there is some natural features that are not developable. So the actual developable land within that 70-acre parcel is about 1/2 of that. And what that will afford us to do is to create a small corporate park, as we can kind of see in our site plan here, which is coming up. It illustrates about, well, I skipped past, we got a site plan there somewhere? There we go, wonderful. A modest-sized corporate park that'll handle about 4 buildings of varying size that fit within the shape of it, really aimed at attracting users to your community, anywhere from smaller manufacturers up to a little bit larger operations. These buildings, as they're conceptually planned, range from about 100,000 square feet to 250,000 square feet. So about 700,000 square feet in total this site would accomplish.
So it's basically like tilt-up flex space?
Yep. Well, why don't we get to the next slide here, and what we can see is really examples of what these buildings would look like. I suppose you can be fairly judged by the company you keep and the quality of your work, and these are just representative images of previous projects that we've done recently throughout southeastern Wisconsin, on the Kenosha County market, and then also in the Rock County, Janesville-Boyd area. So as planned, they would be designed to be what we call inventory or speculative buildings, where we go ahead and build them, and then we try to attract companies to locate inside them. Each building could either be a single-tenant building, meaning one company coming in, or multi-tenant. You could have perhaps 2 or 3 companies that reside within under the same roof.
Yep.
So that's all I got for you, but I will take questions fired at me at will when you're ready.
Would all the buildings be built at once, or would this be done in a phase type of process?
Yeah, great question. They would be built in a phased process. Of course, some of that's market driven, but our initial plans are to start the infrastructure, meaning the roads and the earthwork and the ponds and the pipes and all that good stuff in 2023 when weather permits, and then to start 2 buildings as soon as we can do that at the same time. And then from there, you know, we'll continue to develop the rest of them, kind of in a sequential manner. So build a set, identify companies to move in, get them in there, and then build the next one thereafter.
What would the approximate value of the first 2 buildings and then the additional 2?
Yeah, we've got that scheduled out. I want to say we're just under about $50 million. Do I have that right for the whole project? And then you can see kind of proportionately the first 2 buildings would probably be, oh, what do we have there? Yeah, a little less than half of that.
7 million each for those.
Thank you.
Yep, that'd be a fair estimate.
Questions from commission members? Comments?
Sure. The agenda item lists all the parcels up in that north corner. This is a concept for this one parcel. Is it?
No, it's 3 parcels there.
Yep, within the,
All 3?
within the border there, there's multiple tax parcels
Yeah.
that exist.
Okay. Thanks.
Thank you for your presentation. I appreciate the opportunity to provide feedback. There's a lot of impervious surface on the site with parking lots and the buildings. Have you considered any green infrastructure? And I guess I would just put out, we don't have that kind of requirement, but I would encourage you to consider, impervious pavement or green roof or something. I think there's a lot of opportunities now, a lot of places are looking for that, so I guess that's just a comment more than anything.
Thank you. Good suggestions.
So you have control of the property now? Is that?
Yes.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
So I'm assuming that, that the marketing and everything will start as soon as you break ground on this and finding tenants, letting them know that at such and such a date, this building will be available, at such and such a date, this building will be available. The site, to me, looks very attractive for what you're aiming for. It's also nice to see that you do have a public road in there that will get to the extra 40 acres that's kind of butting up against this as well. And so that's attractive, I think, from the overall development, not only your development, but this finishing out the park. So looks great to me.
Good, thank you.
Troy, did you have a comment?
I would concur, John, and also I think it's something we really don't have in the village at this point is this type of space for a specific companies or companies to utilize.
Any other comments from commission members?
I had one other I thought of. So the proposed road extension, that would be completed early in the phases then, as, it connects then to other parts of the
40 acre parcel, yeah.
Is that?
Our responsibility would be for constructing it, as you see here, and then if it continues on in other directions, we would leave that for other parties to continue working on it.
Great. No other comments?
We like it.
We look forward to
Well, good.
seeing again with more detail.
Yeah, it's hard to tell. This is my excited face, actually. So you can recognize it for future meetings. But thank you. We're excited to be here and encouraged about the opportunity to develop in your community. So we take it seriously, and we know it's a great responsibility, and we're going to meet our obligations and then some to do it.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Chad. All right, next up, then, we have a presentation from Peter Miller, concept plan for a 5-unit residential project at 228 North Main Street. Again, similar to the last one, this is for feedback, nor formal action from the Plan Commission members. Okay. Yeah. You know what? We actually get along. We share. We can share.
I don't like sharing.
Well,
Too bad, huh?
yeah. Get ready for Heidi.
We can work.
We can work it out. across from the church.
Where it's at.
Yeah.
I used to own an ugly two-flat across the street, kitty corner.
The hardest part right here. No, you're fine. You're fine. We're good. We can see that on the screen, yes. I've run by it a zillion times.
I'm familiar with that, yeah. Yep, familiar with it.
We can pass it down.
I think it's on now. Right. Okay, great. Yes, my name's Peter Miller. Live with my wife and 4 kids out in the town of Cottage Grove. Here with Miller Property Group. We got this apartment off 228 North Main Street. It's zoned M12. I talked to Aaron on that unit. It's 1.29 acres, 1.31 acres. It can hold up to 15 units. It's zoned 12 units per acre. So I'm proposing to put a 6-unit townhouse on the back side of that, behind that apartment complex. I would tear down that 3-car garage. With that, just a generic concept of getting rid of that hideous siding on that apartment there, sprucing that up. I could do LP, that's just vinyl on there with some limestone down below. I could not put a brand new fascia on there, but I will be getting rid of that ugly black rubber roof or tar roof hanging over. So I do plan on updating it with this opportunity to add this 6-unit behind there and just revamp that whole area there. And so just kind of wonder your guys' opinions on that. Looking at the concept that you guys have, that's a 7-unit there, so we're gonna have to trim one off. But that would be what I'm looking for. And I would obviously want the 2 units to coincide with colors together. I don't want this one brown and that one all red and green, but that's just the one that the company that I'm working with had. Hey, we have this one in our stock, and we built this one. And so I would be generaling the project. We are local here. And I actually work at the university. Local, we manage all of our own properties here in Dane County ourselves. So I work a lot of hours, so we're busy. So I do have ties here, and I plan on bringing my kids into this and expanding more. I've talked to Aaron about other parcels in Cottage Grove here for development. So we stay busy. But yeah, just wanted your guys' input on this, I guess, for this concept. What your guys' feelings are on this, good or bad input. I'd love to hear it. So.
Aaron, any issues with the site? I know it goes down beyond the garage and everything, so
Yeah,
this
so
5-unit will fit in there.
a couple things. As Peter said, it is zoned MR12. So the number of units would work. With it being 2 different buildings, though, we'd have to approve it as a planned unit development.
Yep.
The other option would be splitting it into 2 parcels, but you couldn't really split it into 2 legal parcels with the necessary street frontage. But approval as a PUD would be an option. I think dressing up the existing building as he's showing would certainly help that area a lot. It's a little bit of a tight site, but it did look like this would work with the second building in the back. As you said, it does drop down and there are some wetlands in the back, but you're aware of that. And
Yeah, and
And there's enough space for parking as well?
yeah, the new building was going to have them
so
in the building.
there's, with the L shape on the inside of the L is the garages.
Oh, okay, all right, so
So,
internal, yeah.
yeah,
Something
would have
for
garages. And what my hope would be for that is, so we did apply for CARP C to get a minor amendment that environmental line there, which is kind of a generic line, which they meant to go with the contour of that hill, obviously. And that furthest line you can see is a 25-foot. The other one was what Dane County requirement is 75. So I would then kind of taper that hill and even build stairs. I probably couldn't build concrete stairs, but could build wood stairs, something more environmental, because I can't put impervious surface in that area. And then I would build it down to that lower area where the yards that back up there mow that area. I just make that into kind of like a park for that area. So it would be a nice usable space. It would back up to those single-family homes.
And the intent is to, whether it's whatever the building looks like in the back, to kind of match up materials and stuff like that, so they kind of tie together?
100%, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah. Because otherwise, whoever's going to the backside is going to be like, I'm not going to rent up on front.
Yeah, and it's gonna be hard to rent something off the back if they pull through and like, what is this,
Yeah.
And we've had people come through and see the outside and the inside, like, it doesn't look anything like the outside. So we did anticipate that and kind of got things ready for that when we were replacing windows and so forth.
Okay.
How about on the, kind of nitpicky, but on the bump out, maybe on this one, maybe do contrasting color or pick some colors that would match what you want to build?
Sure.
Just to kind of pretend it looks like the other building, or, I think it would help instead of just tan, I mean, it's definitely an improvement, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But, yeah, if you could pick a couple contrasting colors that somewhat match what you're doing in the back with that unit, that would be awesome, and then it would kind of blend, the whole project would blend together better.
Yeah, I'd hope to have them complement each other, not like, oh, look at this, here's this modern one. I would hope to tie them together. I even thought on that bump out of maybe you do it all in stone or, have a, like accent piece to it to maybe make it pop out more. It is a unique looking building, and it would be new fascia, new soffit, new roof on there. That chimney's not getting used, yank that out. I'd keep that open in the future for like ductless splits. You could run ductless splits down there and pop them into the units. Right now it's window units, so that would spice it up. I drive by, seen a bunch of window units hanging out on Main Street. So ideally, that avenue backs up to the living rooms. You could easily throw them in there, and then you get power from down the basement. So I would probably build a curb on that, but I do plan on knocking that chimney off. And then I think in the previous roof that the last owner put on, he did put a pitch on it, and that's why if you look on the side, it's like 10 inches and it goes to nothing. We put a like tapered insulation system on there, and instead of putting architectural fascia on, which is common, they just rolled the roof over and terminated it, which is common mostly for like the backup buildings. You don't do that for the front of buildings. It's just not appealing when you see like black and it's uneven and it's, it just kind of sticks out as that does. As you can see, it's just not very appealing. So we'll be addressing that and cleaning that one up as well and do it all in one project.
Okay.
Question, comment? Sure.
I personally like the idea of it improving the existing building and blending that with the new building, and it's going to look a lot better than it does today, and hopefully you get a higher rent for it then. But I'm in favor of it, what you're talking about.
Alex?
With the property improvements, looking at the Google Earth picture, which you're right, the siding and all that other stuff, the looks like they're putting trash bins out to the front, so adding the other additional buildings where people are gonna stay? Are you looking to do maybe some sort of a dumpster corral or something to maybe address that, to keep that a little more tighter, I guess, from that? I mean, it is our main street and that type of stuff, so just curious if you thought of that.
Yeah, I don't think there's enough real estate to put enough trash cans out there, to be honest. Yeah, I think we'd have to address that and put an area back there for a dumpster. Yeah, correct.
I'm excited about this opportunity to make this improvement on one of our main corridors, and so I'm excited about this and increasing housing in that area too. I think will be a good bonus as well. So, thank you.
Great, thank you.
With the existing building, can you make those improvements with the people still living in it?
Yes, correct. Yep. Yep. It'd be siding, it'd be roofing, and running in the utilities for that project. It would be coordinated with them, and it'd be road plates over that area. You have to put road plates, trench that in, probably in the driveway area. So it'd have to be hey, from this time to this time, we're gonna open this up. And most of those tenants work first shift, so they're gonna be out of there, and if not, then I have to coordinate with them and say, hey, this week, can you park on the street, you know? There would be some sort of coordination with them. But once you ran past that driveway, well, then it wouldn't obstruct their, you know, like ingress or egress, so.
Any other comments?
Just procedure, is there a requirement for any public hearing or anything? I mean, is the neighbor gonna get notified?
It will be,
What's
because
the
it has
process
to do
on
a
that?
planned unit development.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's the two-step approval process, and the first step, there'd be a notice, and
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, looks good.
we probably will want to run a site plan by the fire department, make sure they're comfortable with their ability to get access back to that second building, things like that.
How would you recommend me doing that? Just reach out to them directly, or?
Yeah, I mean, that'll happen as part of the process anyway. If you want to do it sooner than later, I can get you connected.
Fantastic.
All right. Thanks, Peter.
Okay. Any other comments or concerns at all? Good?
No, we're looking forward to seeing you back.
Fantastic, thank you. And I'll bring enough copies next time.
We can go electronic too, it doesn't
Oh,
matter.
oh, yeah, sure.
Save,
Great.
so you can save some
Awesome,
paper.
thank you.
All right, future agenda items here, anything that's on the radar?
Well, all these concept plans, hopefully they're all coming back. Not sure exactly what the timing will be, but probably sooner than later. Heyday was on here, though, not next month, and probably in January they'll be in with their concept. I think those are the main things that are going on right now.
All right, item 11.
Fred's
I'll
not
make a
here.
motion to adjourn.
Troy must have been talking to Fred.
Ah,
Is there a second?
each other.
Thanks, Kim. Non-debatable, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We are adjourned. Thanks, everybody. Have a great week.